Hello friends! Today, we will be going over everything you need to know to start playing the Enforcer, including playstyle and item loadouts. Although anyone can use these tips, I'm going to be focusing this guide on Enforcer players from the Mark 1 to Mark 4 range. Compared to the other ships, the Enforcer does not specialize in any one area of play. Instead, it is extremely well-rounded with decent health, mobility, and damage. With a nice mix of red, yellow, and blue item slots, the Enforcer has a lot of variability in the way you play it, so feel free to mix things up from the advice I give throughout this video. Playstyle. The Enforcer fits very well into any team composition. You want to play near your team, but not huddled together with them. Use your mobility to always stay on the move. The Enforcer can move both forwards and backwards quickly and has enough turret agility to switch to whatever target needs to be focused. Take advantage of your mobility and superior aiming to shoot at enemies that can't hit you back. You may not be a speeder, but you still move fast enough to avoid a lot of damage. The Enforcer plays for the long game by slowly and steadily chipping away at your opponent while avoiding as much damage as possible. Early on, you'll want to spend a lot of your time at a medium to long range from your enemy because you won't have the stats and items needed to fight up close. As you get to the higher ship levels, you can begin to play more aggressively when the situation calls for it. The Enforcer is not a great ship at one-on-one fights in many situations because you will get out-damaged by shooters and defenders can survive much longer than you. If you're good with your aim, you can take on speeders as an Enforcer because you have more health and damage than them and your mobility is enough to keep up the damage. Item choices. At Mark 1, the Enforcer has one red, yellow, and blue item slot. It really doesn't matter what items you use at this point because it is far more important to focus on learning the ropes of the game and chances are that you don't have many items to choose from anyways. At Mark 2, you unlock your second red item slot, which is great because it lets you keep up or even surpass many of the other Mark 2 ships in damage. I recommend using two different types of cannons at this level. The cannon and sniper combo is very straightforward and very reliable at all levels. With a limit of 2 slot points, you won't be able to use many of the heavy-hitting weapons such as big torpedoes or the railgun. You should be able to get by just fine with using 2 weapons that cost only 1 slot point. A good yellow item for the Enforcer is Overboost. Overboost grants you additional speed for a few seconds, which allows you to move faster around the map and reposition during fights. For your blue item, I recommend the Turbo to further increase your movement speed. The standard shield also makes for a pretty good blue item at this stage of the game. When you hit Mark 3, you unlock your second yellow item slot. However, you are still only given 2 yellow slot points, so your best bet is to pair your Overboost with either a Nitro or Frost Blaster. The Nitro greatly increases your mobility and lets you jump out of the way of incoming mortars and torpedoes. The Frost Blaster can be very effective at lower ranks because it is not too difficult to hit and landing it makes it easier for your teammates to follow up with damage. As you move up the ranks, many people find the stun effect of Tesla Bolt to be much better than the freezing items because disarming your opponent for a few seconds can completely change the outcome of a fight. Tesla Bolt also scales very well at higher rarities and has many good upgrades under Dr. Buzzkill's talents. Mark 3 Enforcer is also when you get a third red item slot point, so you can replace one of your 1 slot point weapons with a 2 slot point weapon if you prefer. I like to use torpedoes because I'm fairly confident with my aim, but because of its long cooldown, I pair it with a cannon so that I can still dish out damage after shooting my torpedo. Always consider these kinds of synergies when setting up your weapon loadout. One thing to keep in mind is that even at Mark 5 and 6, when you unlock a third weapon slot, you will still only have 3 slot points, which means you are most likely going to be using 3 1 slot point items. This is important to know so that you don't invest too many resources into a 2 slot point item that you're just going to replace down the road. Good weapon choices for the Enforcer at this level include the cannon, blast cannon, sniper, and torpedoes. Finally, at Mark 4, you gain a second blue item. Around this level, the bandage becomes a pretty good item because you finally have the speed and survivability to take advantage of the healing over time effect of the bandage. You can also go with a second turbo if you really want to keep your speed high. With your third yellow item slot point, you may want to switch to the very popular Overboost and Tesla shield combination. This pair of yellow items works very well in keeping you alive much longer as you can pop the shield whenever you're ready to fight and back away from a fight when it is on cooldown. By the time you reach Mark 4, your level is likely high enough to train certain crew members for specific talents that greatly improve the strength of certain weapons. For example, the flare gun is a very good weapon for the Enforcer because Bernice has many talents that increase its damage. You can also add perks to your other weapons that increase damage to burning enemies. The Carronade is also a good option because of all the great upgrades it gets from the crew member Swift. That's all for today. I hope this video has helped you better understand the playstyle and item loadouts that go well with the Enforcer. Although I have recommended certain items for you to use, remember that the Enforcer is the most versatile ship, so feel free to use the items that you enjoy the most. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more Battle Bay content. Bye friends!